Jamison Battle, welcome to the Pop-Up Podcast.
Thank you.
Year 2 for yourself. When you look back at your rookie season, what stands out the most to you about what you've learned?
Yeah, I think just maneuvering and just getting through the NBA, going through year one is, it's obviously a struggle. There's ups and downs. There's a lot of things that you go through, whether it was playing with the 905 or whether it was getting a lot of time at the end of the season with the Raps. So I learned a lot, and the biggest thing is just trying to stay present, stay neutral is what I try to live by. And I felt like I did that, but now year 2, you kind of have an understanding of what's to be expected and what you expect out of yourself and what's expected from your teammates, your staff. Like, there's a lot of things that you kind of have a feel and you kind of have an understanding for.
I think when you come into the league and you're known as a shooter, for me, it feels like there's an added bit of pressure there just because the NBA is so different, right? The size that you're going up against. How are you able to navigate those challenges? And can you remember a specific shot that you took that you're just like, Lord, I guess we're here in the league?
Yeah, I think, obviously being known as a shooter, it's something, but then to actually go out there and prove that you are. And I think that's something that I showed throughout. It was tough when I had to put the mask on when I broke my nose. It was tough to shoot at that point, but just to respond and to get through that. But I think the biggest thing for me is just staying neutral, staying in a neutral headspace, not being too high, being too low, just because, things are going to happen. And if I'm in a neutral spot, I can go forward, but then there's also still room to go backwards and to learn from things. So I think the biggest thing for me was just staying present in the moment, not worried about what the future holds or not worried about the past, because you can't really change that or you can't really affect it, but you can affect your future by focusing on the present and focusing on what you need to do in the now.
What did this summer look like for you?
Yeah, I know. I was back and forth a lot, whether it was here in Toronto, I went down to Austin, Jamal had us down there, Vegas, obviously. But, I was back home in Minnesota working on my body, working on my diet. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, was trying to change my body to put more lean muscle mass on, just to help me with foot speed, to help me move quicker because of just the philosophy that we have defensively. I know I need to pick it up a little bit just because in order to get on the court, you got to guard your tail off. And I think we have a lot of dogs on our team that do that. So it's trying to emulate that and trying to, show that. And I think I did a good job of that in summer league, but then it's still just building off of that. Yeah,
I know Jamal kind of took it upon himself to make sure that you guys were all hosted in Austin. You guys had that time. It's very rare for someone that's also headed into year 2. So how have you seen his leadership evolve in the way that it has?
I don't want to say it's evolved just because he's been the same guy since he got here. That's just who he is. He's a leader. He's someone who takes a lot of things on his shoulder, and he emulates that on court and with his play. It's not just what he says, it's also what he does with his actions. So I don't want to say he's changed too much just because he's always been who he has, but he's kind of taken a more vocal role, even in it. If it is year 2, I think that's what the front office have asked him, the coaches have asked him to do. And I think he's done an unbelievable job at that. I mean, you don't see that very often where you're going to Austin, going to his hometown, and he's, taking it upon himself to make sure that we're all taken care of.
What was it like to just see Jamal in his habitat, his natural habitat?
In his element? Yeah, it was unreal. We went bowling a few nights. We were in the city in Austin. We went out to Lake Travis as well. So it was just an unbelievable time down there. And Texas is a great place to be. And I'm sure, he enjoyed having us down there.
There's this level of closeness that exists with all of the young guys on this group. Obviously, it's something that you've probably found at the collegiate level, but how special is it to have it here as you all navigate?
Yeah, and that's what I tell people all the time, that we kind of have a college-type locker room with the closeness and togetherness that we have, and it's just unbelievable. But I think we've all gone through different things, but we've all been through it together. And we all have each other to lean on, whether it was me and JMO in the G League or guys who, we've been with each other through it all. And I think that's what's so special about it, even the young guys, but even a guy like Temp who's older. He fits in like a glove. It's natural, and we have a natural feel for each other, and we all understand each other, and we're all pushing each other to get to our best of our abilities. And I think that's what you need in a team. And it's different than I've ever been. Like I said, it's like a college type feel, but it's nothing I felt in college just because of the way we go about our business. You can still have fun about it. And I think that's what we do because we are so young, but there's also a certain level of seriousness that we have when taking care of business and making sure that we're doing the right things.
It's interesting to see just how intentional everyone has been about staying close in the off season. So much is built in the off season. What do you think was cultivated during that time? And obviously BI coming into the fold, hosting guys out, Jamal doing his thing, Summer. What was cultivated and what would you like to build upon in a regular season?
Yeah, it's just a want to get to know each other and a want to get to know each other on and off the court. And I think that's something that not a lot of teams do. And I can speak on it for myself, even in college. Like, we've done stuff like that, but not to this level where, you're going out to Newport and hanging out with BI and he's having guys in doing runs. So there's just so many different things we did. And I think it just builds that culture that we're trying to establish. And I think last year it was the start. We laid the foundation. Now it's just about going out and actually, building up the foundation to make sure that where we need to be at the end of the season. I think we want to be in the playoffs. We want to be competing for championships. And I think that's the mentality of every single guy on this team. So we're going to do whatever it takes to get to that point.
Is there anything specific that stands out to you about the time spent with Brandon and just learning him as a player, but also as a person in Newport?
Yeah, I think just him leading and just him just having us out there just to be able to get to know each other and just to, actually taking the time to get to know each and every one of us, whether like we did bowling again out there, we went out to the beach. There's so many different things we did.
Y'all love to bowl.
Oh, yeah.
I need to see the bowling balls because you have big hands. Everyone has big hands. So y'all are out. Who do you think's the best at bowling?
I would, no bias. I mean, maybe a little bias. I would say myself.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think J-Mo would agree with that, though. You can ask him.
I'm going to have to ask him.
GD is pretty good. I would probably say GD, me, or Kobe. But, I'm going to say myself.
Do you practice? Like, do you
well, I actually I took bowling in college.
Hold on.
I took a semester of bowling in college. Well, it's because I
have questions. A semester of bowling.
It's only a half credit. It was only a half credit. So I had
I just didn't know that you could take bowling in college.
In my degree at Minnesota, we had to take a physical education. So I actually
10-4.
I did self-defense. I did yoga and I did bowling.
So you can whoop some ass, and you can bowl.
Oh, I can bowl.
Jamison, we need to learn more about you. What else don't we know?
I bet people don't really know that I play the saxophone as well.
Start this podcast over again, guys. He plays a damn saxophone. When did you start playing the saxophone?
I played in 5th grade. Well, when you could enter the band in my school. So I did piano for
piano.
2-3 years, and then my mom was like, "All right, if you're not gonna play piano, you have to go join the school band."
Do you still play?
Not as often as I would like.
Yeah.
But it sits under my bed back home in Minnesota. So
there were times. It's lonely.
Yeah, there were times where I was injured my senior year and I had nothing else to do. I was sick of playing the video games. I was sick of doing everything else. So I was like, you know what? Like let me pull up the saxophone.
I better see the saxophone on the road. No, we have Ochai that produces, basically makes beats. Like I feel like we're missing a connection here. Mm-hmm. You played the saxophone.
I played the sax. So I played the alto saxophone, and then I think it was in 8th or 9th grade where the band teacher's like, all right, you're a big guy, you can play the baritone saxophone. So yeah, I was in when I wasn't on the varsity football team in 9th grade, I was in the pep band. So yeah.
This is quite impressive. I also know that you're very intentional about journaling. Mm-hmm. When you think about this past summer, how would you summarize what you were able to do for yourself personally, the fun you were able to have, but then also just the practices that you're able to put in place to grow and evolve? Yeah,
I think just the biggest thing was just, I'm always going to talk about it, but just staying present and just staying neutral, just because I try to live by that. I try to emulate that. But just to be able to learn and go through so many different things, whether it was rolling my ankle at the beginning of the summer, doing stuff like that, where, things are not going to be as linear as you would like. And I think that's what journaling helps me to see. You have good days, you have bad days, and you're able to respond from those. And it's always making sure that you're focused on what's next and what's right in front of you. And I think that's what journaling really helps me do, just to reflect on my day, connect with God, and just to be able to, have a space where I can just speak what's on my mind.
So then I have to throw out my question about what you're looking most forward to for the next year, because you want to stay present. So maybe I should just simply ask you, how are you doing today?
Yeah, no, I'm doing great. It's obviously an unbelievable opportunity being here at Hotel X, and then obviously hopping on a flight to Calgary and going out west in Canada to see those fans. So I'm doing really well, and I'm really excited for what is in store.
Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you.